I'm Kris Foulds, Curator of Historical Collections at the Reach Gallery and Museum. Today I'm excited to talk about transportation, one of the themes included in our Voices of the Valley exhibition. From time immemorial, Indigenous peoples traveled and lived along the Stalo, the river we know today as the Fraser River. The word Stalo inextricably connects the region's first inhabitants to the river and its watershed. For the Stalo people, the river was crucial for travel to and from coastal regions for intercommunity trade. During the period of colonization, stripping Indigenous place names was a common practice to assert claims to the land and its resources. Thus, in the early 19th century, the river was renamed after Simon Fraser, an explorer of Scottish ancestry who was employed by the Montreal-based Northwest Company to take possession of land and trading routes west of the Rocky Mountains. The Hudson's Bay Company also took note of established Indigenous trade routes when it situated its fort on the river at Fort Langley in 1827. And settlers expanded upon existing Stalo land routes to create wagon roads to further develop their commercial networks. As colonial activity increased, riverboat landings along the Fraser and its tributaries provided entry, communication, and commerce points for the settler communities that developed around them. Passenger stern-wheelers ceased operations on the Fraser River in 1925. Paddle boats dedicated to removing debris from the river operated until 1980. During the 1858 Fraser River Gold Rush, the Royal Engineers were brought in to survey and establish infrastructure that would enable systematic colonization, including the Collins Overland Telegraph Line and a sleigh road that connected Matsqui and Sumas with the U.S. border and eastern Fraser Valley. In the 1870s, the engineers laid the New Westminster and Hope Wagon Road, now known as Old Yale Road, the freeway of its time, to open new districts. It remained the main artery through the south side of the Fraser Valley for more than 50 years. The 1880s saw the beginning of a railway era and construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway linking BC with the rest of Canada and driving the establishment of the village of Abbotsford. The CPR was followed by the Vancouver, Victoria, and Eastern Railway in 1908, the Fraser Valley's original mass transit system, the BC Electric Railway, in 1910, and the Canadian Northern Railway, completed in 1915. The border community of Huntington saw the arrival of up to 50 trains per day in the 1920s. Automobiles made their appearance on Abbotsford roads in the late 1900s, but did not become a regular mode of transportation until after World War I. The shift to road transportation led the BC Electric Railway to establish Pacific Stage Lines in 1923 and Fraser Valley Truck Lines to supplement its pre-existing rail-based freight service. The drainage of Sumas Lake in 1924 opened the way for land transportation through the Fraser Valley. In 1927, planks were laid on the CPR rail bridge across the Fraser River to Mission to allow car traffic to cross. In 1930, 4 blocks of Essendine Avenue were paved, the first in Abbotsford, Matsqui, and Sumas. As motor vehicle use continued to grow, passenger trains became obsolete and the BC Electric Railway announced its Rails to Rubber program and eliminated its lower mainland rail system, replacing it with bus service. Abbotsford took a further step as a transportation hub during World War II when the Abbotsford Airfield was constructed as a training centre under the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan. The site was the largest of its kind, located on a 900-acre site that contained 44 buildings including hangars and accommodations for a garrison of thousands of service personnel. A second, one-runway field was built on Sumas Prairie. In 1945, the RCAF closed the Abbotsford base. In 1958, the airport was transferred to the Department of Transport, who expanded the runways for commercial purposes. In 1997, the City of Abbotsford took over operation of the airport and has expanded and improved it for passenger travel. The federal government passed the Trans-Canada Highway Act in 1949 to create a highway spanning the country by connecting and upgrading pre-existing roadwork. Highway improvements, including the necessary on-ramps and overpasses, reached the Fraser Valley in the 1960s. In 1964, the new Trans-Canada Highway west of Abbotsford opened to link Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley communities. The 1964 highway is largely unchanged and currently inadequate to handle the volume of vehicle traffic. Abbotsford is still waiting for access to the Lower Mainland mass transit system. The City of Abbotsford created a new transportation and transit master plan in 2018 to address the needs of community and commercial growth. Thank you for joining me to learn more about transportation in Abbotsford. For more information and programs, visit www.thereach.ca.